Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Battlefield just released a ton of gameplay changes and gameplay updates that they are making for Battlefield 6 directly based off of beta feedback. So they gave us a bit of a beta recap and summary of some of the larger changes that we can expect. This is actually in addition to several other things they've detailed recently in regards to launch that I'll be covering separately in a video in a few days time, so stay tuned for that. But some pretty interesting things to break down. First and foremost, we do have some official stats though that Battlefield shared before we get into some of these specific gameplay changes and rather large adjustments they seemingly are making here. They say thanks to the Battlefield community for shattering expectations and setting a new franchise record for the most players in Battlefield beta history. That doesn't surprise me at all that this is the most successful Battlefield beta. They had over 420 million matches played, 92 million hours of gameplay. They give us all the enemies that were killed, the friendlies revived, only 30 million friendlies revived. Interesting. Sounds like some of the medics out there maybe need to get those defibs rubbing up a little bit more. They also gave us the deployment rate per class. I find it kind of interesting that Recon only had a 19% deployment rate. I felt like Recon was so much fun. Assault being the most popular does not surprise me whatsoever, but I'm curious to see if they maybe rebalance some of this to shift those numbers a tad bit, make them a little bit more even there. They give us road kills, tanks destroyed by engineers, helicopters destroyed, jets destroyed, all sorts of stuff. 337 million kills with shotguns, with tuning incoming that we'll talk about in the details here momentarily. But yeah, some interesting stats there outright. But then more importantly, we also got this Battlefield communications post here with a new community update, the open beta debrief. They say thanks to everyone who joined us during the beta. Your passion and feedback have been invaluable, with the tens of thousands connecting on Discord to play together, over 600,000 hours streamed and over 30 million hours watched. Your enthusiasm and participation is what made it great. As we approach the launch of Battlefield 6, we want to take a moment to look back at the recent open beta to share our key learnings and in-game changes that we're making based on your feedback and in-game data. So first up, they start off with some weapon updates that'll be coming. They say we are making targeted adjustments to deliver a more consistent and rewarding gunplay experience. This includes a general pass on recoil and tap fire characteristics across all weapons, further emphasizing their unique feel and improving range differentiation. I have to imagine this means that weapons will feel a little bit more unique. A lot of weapons, especially once you went through and built them out with specific attachments, felt kind of similar. Their damage properties were obviously different, but recoil wise they felt really similar. It wasn't too much effort being given into a lot of recoil patterns. It seemed like I could just laser beam people from pretty far out if I had the right attachments on there, so hopefully that differentiates things there. They also say we've made changes to encourage more controlled tap firing and burst firing, likely to do with bloom or more deviation in a recoil pattern as you're holding down the trigger, rewarding precision and weapon mastery. Additionally, the M87A1 shotgun now requires more pellets to secure a kill. We are investigating a time to kill and time to death experience differentiation as well. We'll share an update if definitive changes are made in these areas, but they do confirm recoil balance pass, tap firing balance pass, and shotgun balance pass are all coming at launch. This is probably going to be the most controversial update that they are making because they do make some changes to movements here. They say movement mechanics have been adjusted to create a more balanced and traditional Battlefield experience. Momentum, especially horizontal speed carried from a slide into a jump, has been reduced. There is now a greater penalty for consecutive jumps, which lowers jump height when jumps are spammed. Firing while jumping or sliding will result in increased inaccuracy. There was already a lot of inaccuracy in that with the bloom mechanics that were kind of bugged. These changes are designed to make sliding and jumping more situational, so they are no longer ideal options in engaging in gunfights, and will continue to a gameplay pace that rewards skillful movement without becoming too fast or unpredictable. So they are nerfing the beta movement here. They are seemingly slowing things down quite a bit. So for those of you who liked the fluidity of movements in the beta, that's not going to be the same at launch. And I have a feeling there's going to be some backlash from this from players who did enjoy that more smooth movement there that allowed you to utilize that stuff. Like, it doesn't seem like jumping is going to be all that necessary in a lot of situations, or sliding could really throw you off in a lot of gunfights as well if you're using that to try and navigate in an engagement there. They also say parachute physics have been retuned with reduced initial acceleration when opening the parachute for more controlled aerial movement. So a little bit of a side note on that. They've also given us a lot of map updates here as well. We observed some players finding a way to reach rooftops and venture out of bounds. This gameplay is not intended for these maps, and upcoming ladder for the assault class is also not designed to access these areas. We are working on adjustments to prevent unintended access and ensure gameplay stays within the intended boundaries. We also heard strong feedback from players excited about the larger scale maps that Battlefield has to offer. While the open beta featured smaller, more fast-paced maps, large scale maps are already part of our launch package, delivering action-packed gameplay and memorable, unique moments for every player. As a part of the upcoming Battlefield Labs testing, we are introducing 2 new multiplayer maps, one set in Myrick Valley, the other one a remake of the fan favorite from Battlefield 3, Operation Firestorm. These 2 maps include the full complement of vehicles like Liberation Peak, along with a more vast combat space. So large maps are going to be debuting in Battlefield Labs first. If you're in that playtest, you'll be able to experience that, and then of course, obviously, they're going to be there at launch as well. This is far from all the gameplay updates and changes they're making though. Quick reminder though, as we're going through everything here, if you guys enjoy the video, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. It really does help out the channel, and share the video around to new viewers. And if you happen to be one of those new viewers, maybe you have not subscribed yet, we should change that. This is the best place to be to stay up to date with everything going on for Battlefield, so feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and help get us one step closer to reaching 1 million subs. Next up here, we've got some modes updates. They say when it comes to Rush, the conversation we observed wasn't just about player count, but also about how the maps play and the tactical experience they offer. Rush is a mode with deep roots, originally known as Gold Rush in Bad Company, where matches typically ranged from 12v12 to 16 versus 16. Many of you remember this as the golden era of Rush, and it continues to inspire our approach today. We've experimented with larger player counts over the years, such as 64 and 128 player versions. While these created intense, fast-paced moments, they also led to issues with overwhelming defense, stalled front lines, and too many games ending in the first sector. Rush is especially sensitive to higher player counts due to its tactical and strategic requirements. When a player tries to arm the MCOM while more than 20 opponents are defending, the intended gameplay becomes less tangible. Based on feedback throughout recent titles, we're lowering the default player count of Rush to improve the flow and restore that more tactical, methodical experience. For those who enjoy large-scale Rush, Portal will allow you to have those gameplay rules at launch. In contrast, Breakthrough is designed to accommodate those higher player counts, and that's where the mode really shines. Using win-loss data from the beta, we are continuing to make map-by-map adjustments towards our goal of 50-50 win ratios for attackers and defenders. So we might see differently placed areas for Breakthrough and Rush respectively, but they don't really give us too many details, at least specifics into what they're changing exactly there. They do, however, detail the approach to player counts. They say there was some confusion around the number of players in different games, so we want to clarify this. Rather than locking maps and modes to a fixed player count, our philosophy is to adapt to the best fit intended experience. This may vary map by map or evolve over time. For example, at launch, some Breakthrough layouts will support 48 players, others are going to have 64. It's one of the many factors we adjust to create the right balance for each map. In Breakthrough, higher player counts work well on open dynamic maps, while smaller player groups offer more focused experiences on denser maps. Portal gives players the flexibility to try out whatever chaos you want, or however monotonous you want it to be as well, in theory. Finding the right balance is an ongoing process as everyone gets familiar with map sizes, lanes, and combat spaces. For now, we found that 8v8 provides a solid starting point for small-scale, fast-paced modes like TDM, Squad Deathmatch, Domination, and King of the Hill. They also detail the playlist options here. I'm curious what they're going to say about open and closed weapons. A limited variety of playlist options were created for the open beta to showcase and test the flexibility of the matchmaking system. Playing with both open and closed weapons will continue to be options in Battlefield 6, and we're looking for ways to keep them easily accessible. We recognize that some players experienced difficulty in finding games to complete the challenge of capturing sectors and Breakthrough a Rush. It wasn't ideal, and we're actively using your feedback and in-game data to review that. So that's solid. They obviously had challenges where you needed to capture sectors, but you'd end up with situations where 4 games in a row you were defending and you weren't capturing, so you couldn't do those challenges, which obviously was super frustrating. And then finally, they do reflect on the beta here to say with the insights gathered during the open beta play sessions, we'll be introducing in-game adjustments in upcoming Battlefield Labs events. Stay tuned for progress updates and future opportunities to get involved. Of course, as we do see more progress updates as they do more community blogs and things of this, or they just openly announce new updates and changes, I'll be covering it all right here. So if you guys want to stay in the know with everything going on, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it as well. But that is the new community update and some of the major gameplay adjustments they're already making for launch here in Battlefield 6. That's going to wrap things up though. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.